Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. I would ask all of you to stand with me as we say the pledge to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I want to welcome all of you to our last March board meeting. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Gary Leininger. I'm the vice chairman of the Road Commission Board. Our chairman is still in Florida, and so I'm filling in his capacity. When he gets back, I'm going to tell him I expect to get his pay for doing his job.
Let's see, a little bit of nothing is still a little bit of nothing.
You had to bring that up.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, the agenda for today's meeting. What's your pleasure?
Approve. Move
Support.
to approve.
Okay, I have a motion from Mark and a support from Kathy to approve the agenda as presented. We may have some comments, especially after the manager makes his report, the questions or so forth to ask, but so any other discussion on the agenda? All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It is approved. So you have the minutes before you of our first March board meeting. What's your pleasure there?
Move to approve. Support.
Have a motion and a support to approve the minutes of the prior meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The minutes are approved. So now we will look at the bills that are before us. Take the bills, the accounts payables first. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we pay the accounts payable dated March 20th for a total of $420,332.03.
Support.
So I have a motion from Mark and a support from Kathy to pay the bills March the 20th in the total amount of $420,332.03.
I see we paid for the sign truck. Has it been delivered?
Yes. We got it in this week, and so they're going through it to put on stickers and lights and that kind of stuff. They'll take the normal in check, and then we'll be able to use it.
All right. And we also have possession of the dump trailer, I take it.
Yes, we do.
Paid for that one. All right. So I see we bought these. So I see when we buy it for 10,000 at 10,000 gallons, it's almost $1 less per gallon. Would it behoove us to buy it here and move it to our satellite garages, or
I don't think we have a
We
way
don't have the
to
capability to move it.
moving it.
no? That's
There's smaller amounts there.
right.
and,
They're smaller amounts, and I assume that that's the dollar
Yeah,
difference.
we don't have a
Man,
fuel tank to.
yeah.
Well, the 10,000 gallons is probably a semi-truckload, isn't it?
Oh yeah, so it's,
Well, yeah.
and
No,
that's
I get
why
it.
it's cheaper.
Yeah, I understand
I'm
that.
always trying to save a penny, and if I can save $1 a gallon, and we bought, let's see, 1,000, almost 2,000 gallons, that's $2,000.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
can
lot
put
of-
that in the road.
That's a lot of 5-gallon
but
tanks.
Kathy, that wouldn't pay for a fuel truck.
I understand that. I don't think we need a fuel truck. We just need One of them little tanks, anyway.
Well, the foremen do have tanks.
They have auxiliary
There's
tanks.
still a lot of those tanks.
Oh, I know, but I mean, they can fuel stuff in the field.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, so,
And they fill from this.
Yeah.
Going out
so
here.
we're all right, Kathy.
Okay.
So I do have a question though, in that regard. I noticed the price per gallon from Waldmore Oil versus Warner Oil is about 20 cents a gallon cheaper most of the time. So would Waldmore deliver?
I don't think they go out there.
There's certain ones that only deliver certain places, and every time we have to get quotes. And one time they might be cheaper, the next time they might not be. It really depends on the quote of the day that they have. And so that's how we have to go. For the most part, the only time that fuel gets used a lot is the outside garages in the winter when the guys are out there. When we go back to 410s, everybody works out of here, everybody gets the fuel out of here. So,
The only ones that don't is the mowers.
yeah, some of the mowers.
So when we're going out for quotes to the outside garages, do we also involve Briner and Watkins as well?
Yep.
So the bids.
It goes out to like 4 or 5 different
Okay,
companies, and then they'll submit their bids, and we go off of that for the next day.
okay. All right. Any other questions or comments on the bills? Okay, we will proceed to vote then. All in favor of approving the bills, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion is approved.
Do you have one of yours?
I do.
Yes. Yes, I think he has it.
Yeah.
I'll have to dig it up.
Mike, I don't know that you have signed both of those, have you? Maybe you have.
Nope. Normally, they don't trust me.
So on the bills, are those dates wrong? Cause it looks like you bought Diesel and Jerome on 3/11 and 3/17, and in Waldron you bought Diesel on 3/12 and 3/18. If I look at the Warner bill, it's 2/7.
Well, it depends on when they got their invoices to us.
Looks a little funny. The Warner makes sense, there's one for each month.
It just depends on when they get them to us. I know sometimes when we get the statement, they're like, oh, they've never even sent us this invoice yet, so then we gotta call on it. We gotta send over.
Well, I would be curious to know about the dating of these and why we chose the 2/7 and the 2/19 for Warner, but the 3/11 and 3/12 for Waldmore. I'd almost bet those are 2 different months. So I'm just curious what dates were chosen. So
Well,
I know it's a
and
silly
both of them might
question.
not have been ordered at the same time.
No, I understand that, but I almost guarantee Jerome didn't get that much fuel a week apart.
It's only a 500
Are they
gallon
both the
tank,
same?
and
485
Yes, I did.
gallons on 3/11 and
Yeah,
555 gallons on 3/17. I don't think
Are they
that's,
diesel and gas?
3 cents,
they're outside only diesel.
thank you.
Outside garages only diesel.
just, it says diesel,
Okay.
so again,
We can check it.
it just looks a little funky.
Okay, let's move on to the payroll.
Move approve.
Support.
I have a motion from Mike and a support from Mark to approve the payroll. And that's dated March the 27th in the amount of $121,305.60. I didn't look, but probably overtime is down considerable on this one.
Yeah, we didn't have probably a whole lot on that.
There is some, but not much. Okay. Any other questions? If not, all in favor of the motion to approve the payroll, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion is approved.
Perfect.
So we will move to the treasurer's report.
Beginning cash and investment balance is $2,420,890.72. Total receipts is $17,196.47. Total bills and payroll is $541,637.63. Bonds and escrow are $10,250. CD reserve for 2 trucks is $675,405.86. Ending available fund balance is $1,210,793.70. And outstanding accounts payable, we have a credit of $2,578.04.
Any questions regarding the treasurer's report? We'll stand approved as presented.
I'm gonna have to build a wall.
That's yours. This is
Stop those illegal immigrants.
That's right. Illegally absconding with my reports.
That's right.
Okay, so we're just a couple minutes early, but I don't know any reason why we can't proceed with the presentation, a report from the Economic Development Partnership of Hillsdale County. So go ahead and
Hello.
introduce yourselves to us, please.
Sure. My name is Susan Smith. I'm the Executive Director at the Economic Development Partnership of Hillsdale County. Can I sit down and join you guys?
Yeah,
I feel
sure.
You can sit here, right here,
I
or
feel like a
like,
teacher.
or one here and one there.
We told you we're casual, you can.
You can have as much room as you want.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak with you today. I appreciate the invitation.
So Susan, why don't you introduce your
Oh, I'm sorry.
Partner.
This is Sally.
Hi, I'm Sally Clark, and I just joined the EDP. I came over from Michigan Works, so I'm familiar with Hillsdale County, and I'm very excited to be here today and learn as much as I can.
I invited them to come out due to, make a donation at the beginning of the year. And I wanted them to explain to the newer commissioners and everybody on the board what our dollars go towards.
Okay. Very good. Well, the EDP will go back a little ways. The EDP used to be the HCIDC, the Hillsdale County Industrial Development Commission, and that was Reb Turner for quite a long time. When Reb was getting ready to retire, they decided to change the work that got done at the HCIDC. So we do all of that work still, but we also, we're the Economic Development Partnership. So in the presentation, you see a lot of different partners that we work with, and we do that because it's good for the county, you know, and we'll kind of cover a little bit about that. The first page is really what was traditionally done with the HCIDC, the industrial growth. 23 and 24, we had 5 different industrial projects that came into Hillsdale County. Luxwall is in the former American Axle building. FCA Packaging is in the former Litex building. The Triple Diamond Plastics is in the Interdime building. Carnico Foods, it used to be Johann Vanderweert. It was a machine shop, but they did, well, tell us quickly, time flies, and I forget. But, and then we have GCT America. They moved here from Canada. They moved their family, the business, lock, stock, and barrel. It was a political move. They love the United States, and they've always been GCT America, even though they were Canadian. But now they feel like they're really home being here in the United States. So hopefully they will get all of their paperwork in order because they're doing it the right way, and it takes a long time when they do it the right way. So, but that was the traditional work that used to be done with the HCIDC. And to do those projects, we really need to partner very heavily with all of our municipalities where that's going to be located, because they are the ones that are looking at permitting as well as the county. You know, and if there's going to be a tax abatement or any kind of resources, we want to make sure that that municipality is involved in that so that they understand, you know, how the project is going. And then, of course, Michigan Works has always helped with the hiring and ramping up of people. EGLE, the MEDC, we always bring the MEDC in because if there's any money at the state level that can encourage people to locate in Hillsdale County, if the Michigan Strategic Fund, if they have dollars, and they base those dollars on employment and investment, how many jobs, how much money. So that's how they come up with their dollars that they are willing to support businesses with. And then, of course, all of our utilities are key. If we even hear about something coming to the community, we get a hold of the utilities, because if it's a power situation, it might take a while before they can provide the power. So the sooner we let people know, the better they can service a new business once they get here. Now for other income generation, we do have our capital campaign, which is what you've gotten that invoice for that we sent out. But we do, obviously that doesn't run an office for the year, so we do contract work. And Randy Yagella, who's here with us today, he works at Lenawee now. He's the grant writer in Lenawee County. So the funding that we have in front of us, like for the collaborative sector, which we'll talk about a little bit more, that's in a partnership grant that they wrote in Lenawee. They included us in the region. It's through Leo, and we'll dig into that in just a minute. The EDP in Hillsdale County, we are part of Region 9, which you probably know. So that's Hillsdale, Jackson, Lenawee, Livingston, Monroe, and Washtenaw. Ann Arbor Spark is our fiduciary. And our Ann Arbor Spark applies for different types of funding to the MEDC and then also to Michigan Works. And then as a part of Region 9, those dollars are shared out from Ann Arbor Spark to the other counties that are in the region. And we all have our own little pot. And that's additional contract work that we do. And then we also have a contract right now with the Lean Rocket Lab to do entrepreneurial training. And we are doing 3 years of that. We have our first cohort graduated last fall. We're gonna have another cohort and we're working on that. They start in September and then they will be graduating just before the Thanksgiving holiday. They do a 12-week sessions and they learn a lot. It's a great program. Plus they get $4,000 to put toward their business, and it's free. If you know anyone who is entrepreneurial, I don't care if they've been in business for a year, 10 years, 15 years, people at all stages have gone through this because of the fact that it's free, and you get a lot of background for your accounting, marketing, social media, all of the things that you would need as a small business to, make sure you're successful. So it's just kind of a wraparound service that we provide, and we are going to be having our next cohort will be again in September. So if you know anybody, we're taking applications now, and it's right on our front page of our website. The sector grant that we have, now this grant is ongoing right now, and it is a grant with JAMA. Lenawee wrote it, and it's through the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, LEO. JAMA, Michigan Works Southeast, Lenawee Now, and the EDP are all partners in this. And what it is funding that was brought to the table so that, and it was post-COVID funding, brought to the table for different sectors, like the healthcare sector, manufacturing, different sectors. And they all had a pot of money to meet and have a discussion about what's keeping them, holding them back, what would help them as a group move forward, what are their common needs or their common pain. So we've had those meetings, and then out of those meetings, there's usually, we look for how do we solve the problems, and it's typically been training. People need to be trained up, skill sets. and everything changes all the time. So it isn't that we have totally unskilled people, it's just that the change in technology requires constant training. So we've had an excellent opportunity to, geez, what we have in our robotics was like $140,000 that was put into robotic training in the county for different, people in employment. And there was funding for, the rest of those businesses also, the rest of the sectors. For the minority business, because I always get asked the question, we had a lot of female in the child care group, because there's, child care, what do they call it? Child care initiative, the network. It's a statewide situation, but child care is tough, so we've spent time, helping them to get training so that they've got, their people are doing the best job they can, but they've had some very excellent training to help them do a better job. Benefits to the county is, obviously that we're retaining existing businesses, attracting new investment, and we've grown the tax base, and it boosts payroll. And they're decent, good paying jobs that we're helping people to maintain. So all the way around, there's just a lot of good reasons to, work with that program and that effort. And we talked already a little bit about the fellows program with the Lean Rocket. The fact that there's no cost and you get $4,000 is probably a pretty good deal. And people have been wonderful. They have mentors that they meet up with, and throughout their training, these people continue to work with them in their business once they graduate as a fellow. And so there's not only assistance, but there's ongoing assistance for them. So it's just a nice way to help them get really firmly in place and be successful. And then the $4,000 is always helpful. The EDA consulting grant, that ran from 2022 to 2024. That was directly during and after the COVID situation. And what this was is another grant that from Lenawee Now, and we partnered with Michigan Works Southeast in Lenawee Now to utilize these dollars for companies, because if you remember after COVID or during COVID, everybody had to have the 6 feet of separation, and there were just a lot of things that changed, and these dollars helped people to readjust to the new norm for their business. And for some companies, they're seeing people that are passing away, so all of a sudden succession planning became very important to different companies. So there were just different areas of consulting that these dollars paid for throughout the county. And on the map it shows, I have little dollar signs, in the little communities where the dollars were spent. And then a lot of times Michigan Works would be on the call with us, because as they went through with the consulting dollars, part of what the outcome was is, well, we really need to train people. And Michigan Works has incumbent worker training dollars, they have Going Pro dollars, they have on-job training dollars. So, and if you qualify, and which is why Sally, when she was at Michigan Works, would always go on the calls, because we don't qualify people for that. I used to work at Michigan Works, but that has changed so much in the last 10 years, I would have no idea. So we always want to make sure we bring as many resources to the table for our businesses, because it's really important that they succeed. And COVID was pretty tough on a lot of our businesses. They got down to biting their nails quite a lot. And then we work with our students throughout the county a lot, because we want them to understand work, careers, opportunities, and all of the things that are here in Hillsdale County. We want them to stay here and grow and, continue to live in the county and get a good education and learn and get some skills. So we do have Manufacturing Day. This is a program that is paid for with the dollars we get from the MEDC, that contract work that we do for the MEDC. They provide dollars for us to do the Manufacturing Day. And we do these in the fall. And we have, we make sure the kids have got a backpack, they get their ear protection, they have safety glasses, and then some little stuff, like little flashlights or something, And we arrange for them to tour at least 2 of the industrial buildings and go through them with, the employers. And the employers talk to them about different careers and all of those things. So it's a great day for the kids to get out there and see, smell, feel what it's like to be in a manufacturing facility. We go to small ones and we go to big ones, so they're very different. So we just want them, it's an awareness situation. And then when we get done with our tours, we have a luncheon for them at Nishindo Conference Center. And we have a panel of employers, or sometimes we have people who have gone through apprenticeships. Each year we have a different panel discussion with the students, so that they can ask questions about things that they may have seen that they didn't understand, or just to get some additional information about real working situations. So we have great employers that are really willing to spend their time coming and sitting on the panels and providing that information for them. We also work with the Hillsdale Area Career Center. They are having, coming up on May 6th, is their career day. And they open up the building, and we have about 30 some employers that come. And there's about 250 children in the CTE program at the HAC Center. And the students go from table to table, talking with employers. Winding back a moment. Before we let them do that, we sit down and they get a resume written, they do mock interviews, they are very well prepared for this day. So when they go in and they are told how to dress appropriately, and the employers are told some of these kids are 17, 18, so they bring applications. I mean, they're always looking for people and, having these conversations. So the students go from table to table with their resumes, and if they have a portfolio, they bring that also, and talk to the employers, and it's a good day all the way around. So, and people have actually gotten jobs, from the event. The Hillsdale County Community Foundation, they've always had career night at Cyril Hall at the college, and because the realization is that everybody's not going to college for 4 years, they've opened that up. And so we go and talk about skilled trades, and they do have different manufacturing businesses who come. The military is there to talk to the students, and it's a whirlwind because it's not an extremely long event. There are a lot of colleges there, and the students that come through, their families come through, because sometimes maybe mom or dad's looking for a job, or they've got a sibling that's looking for a job. So it's just a great way for them to get out and about, and we want to make sure we're always touching those different situations, so we understand where that's at. And then as the EDP, we both spend time on boards, and I think it's important for us to do that in the community, because if you just live in your own world, you don't know anything else. And we have to know, because if there's a problem or they need resources, we want people to know that, we might not have the answer, but we might know someone who does. And being on boards helps us to be a better resource for the rest of the county all the time. So we, that's what we do. It's, time, I think it's time well spent, put it that way. And I don't have this on here, but another program that we're doing right now is with Ann Arbor Spark. They got a grant, and it's called the SSRP, Strategic Site Readiness Program. And what that's for, right now I have one project that we're going to be going to, Sally and I, when we leave here, we're going to don our man clothes and go muck through 124 acres with an environmental group to look at some land and see. So our day is well planned, but that's just another resource that we bring to the community. We're women. If there's money, we're going to sniff it out. It's what we do. And Randy's very good at that, and so it's a good connection because he's very good at finding funds and helping. And it's a share. It's regionally. He always shares out regionally with the rest of our community. So that's not everything that goes on, but that's kind of a big chunk of what goes on. But if you had any questions, we're happy to answer. Sally, anything you want to add to that today?
Well, since I'm new, I'm actually just really enjoying hearing all the things that we're doing as well. But working on the side of Michigan Works and working with the EDP, there's just great value in building connections, connectors, and talking to businesses and figuring out what resources that we can bring to the table. And so I'm excited to be able to do that. on the economic development side. I did it on the workforce side, so it's really exciting to see those two kind of joined up and how they meet together.
So I have a few questions,
Yes, sir.
Susan. So with your career center and hiring event, do you include anybody from law enforcement or the Michigan Department of Corrections? Are they involved in that as well?
They are all invited, whether they come back or not, and the invitations actually go up from the Hillsdale Area Career Center, because this is their event. We just are a part of that. But yes, they do. The military has always been there. I think the Department of Corrections was there last year.
Yes, and so what they do is those core classes that are within the Hillsdale Area Career Center, we try to find businesses that tap into those certificates that those kids are receiving. So welding, advanced manufacturing, they do have the police program, and so we bring in that cybersecurity. They bring in tech side. So they do look at all the sectors that they're teaching to and try to bring in those, and then bring in some additional services that we might not think about as far as career choices. So they do a diverse, every year they kind of change it up and bring in the same and change it up a little bit, kind of depending on what the kids are asking for too.
Sure. I know that our sheriff has made it a point to hire and train local young people to join the sheriff's department, because we had a problem in the past hiring from outside of the county. People would come in here and get 2 or 3 years of experience, and then they go someplace else, and they found it a whole lot more successful to hire local young people who want to live here. They understand living in a rural community and like living here, and they've been much more successful, so I'm glad to hear that. And I would presume too then our medical care facility and our hospital are probably also involved in those events.
Yep.
And then I'm just gonna make a statement here. Susan, you made a presentation sometime within the last year to the Hillsdale Exchange Club, which I'm a part of.
Yes.
And you shared a document there that I think everyone in this room should get a copy of.
Okay.
And that is it was a comparison, a listing of all of the counties in the state of Michigan, and it was a per capita income comparison. And there are people out there who believe this lie that Hillsdale County is the poorest county in the state of Michigan. That is an outright lie. You know that, and I know that. And that document proves that. And we're actually right about in the middle of the 83 counties.
Yeah, we bounce between 41 and 42 for
Yeah.
median income. So it just makes me crazy when I hear, oh, we're the poorest county in the state. And I'm like, no, we're not. Not by a long shot, I don't know where that came from. I don't know why that's a common belief. But I got so tired of hearing it, I had to find out.
Well,
So I will get that document to you. It's a federal document, so it's not something that's, locally made up or whatever, it's real.
And it's really fantastic.
It is.
It is, yeah, I agree with you. I was really, when Sue shared that with Michigan Works, it was just another way of saying, here's some proof of where we land. Because you hear, when you talk to the youth about training, well, we can't stay in Hillsdale because we're, the poorest. And you can bring that out and go, well, you could do your own research, right here it is. So I'm with you, that's a great piece that Sue came up with.
So just a quick background, just to back up a little bit.
Sure.
Part of why you got asked to come here is because we were going through our payables, and that your bill invoice comes once a year, and I'm like, what is this?
Who are these
Why
people?
are we doing it? So Kate was explaining it to me. I said, well, how about, because I don't know.
Sure.
And now that you've said that, I think I've either worked with you or your counterparts in Jackson doing the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now I understand, but
Oh, okay.
I wanted to understand, I wanted all the commissioners to understand, why if they saw that bill, what was that for, and what was it getting us? And it might not get us per se something tangible right here now, but it very well could in the future and support the community, so. That's really why.
Oh, and that's perfectly fine, you know,
I
because
actually-
it's, you know, when you say economic development, people just cloud over right away. And I mean, I could talk about this for hours, so just kick me off. It's just one of those elusive type jobs, you know, that, and you don't see it. You just don't see what we do, you know, and now even probably less because, you know, like new industrial sites are pretty obvious. But, you know, you have to work in all of these different cubby holes throughout the county so that you know what's going on. And if there are resources you know about, you can share that out, you know. So that's really, our job is like a coordinating, collaborating, and, you know, bringing resources to the county.
We thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank
Excellent
you.
presentation. Anybody else have any questions?
I think you're doing good work.
Well, thank you. Oh, I have a question. Is Camden getting redone, Main Street?
Isn't
And,
that,
Somebody told
and
me that.
Camden belongs to them.
Oh,
So we don't
okay.
do any of them in the village.
Oh, they're
We're
all,
the-
okay.
That's
That's a village
90 or 49.
We are looking to see what we can do for Camden Road going out of town.
Oh, okay.
but I think in the village, I think that's a state highway project, and I think the plan is
Yes,
to
okay.
do that in 2026.
Okay.
If that, yeah, if that's what you're talking about, the state
Yeah,
highway.
they're like tearing it up and putting infrastructure.
It's
up
all called
improvements.
streetscape, so like,
Yeah.
even sidewalks and lighting and all that, all down through,
Yeah.
are supposed to be getting redone.
Okay, because we're working with people who are gonna be opening a Mexican restaurant over there on Main Street, and I'm thinking, oh, this can't be good, we're gonna
Right.
open a restaurant and it's gonna be shut, you know?
Yeah.
So, we'll have to figure something out, okay.
Well, they do have a food truck, so maybe they can
Yeah,
utilize that.
They have a food truck, that's true. Wheel it around the
They might
corner.
have to go around the corner and move it as they can get people, I don't know.
I don't believe they're gonna shut the road down totally.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, they're not gonna shut the road down, cause that's where they're putting in that temporary bridge.
It is, north of town.
They tried to, they tried to determine,
Oh.
good luck on the rest of your day.
Take your umbrella.
I'm so excited.
And rain
But
boots,
yeah.
they were debating on either doing a detour around or doing a temporary bridge and still get people through
Oh,
there.
okay.
And so they elected to go to the temporary bridge, and so traffic will still flow, but it'll be,
A little.
yeah,
Well,
congested.
that's gonna be confusing for the people who shopping there, that are shopping down there.
Yes, sir.
Is John Q. Public allowed to say something?
Almost.
It's not,
You're part of this
well,
group in a sense, aren't you?
Yes.
well, we'll say so.
Go
So
ahead.
I
Maloney.
am Randy Yellow, I'm with Lonaway Economic Development. As Sue mentioned, we share a lot of financials,
Mhm.
primarily to make sure our residents are getting trained. And my other comment is, I think Sue's being modest on one thing I'd like you to be more aware of, and just to disclose, I'm Sue's other half also. But that aside,
That's.
Sue and Sally are going out to walk in the field today because what you may not know, and you may, is when industry is attracted to this county, they are doing 900,000 things to work with federal and state agencies to make sure that these companies do come here. And part of today is to look at this land use, get the funding, make sure the land use and these industries match up so that they wanna come here, they have sites available to come here. There's all kind of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and I think it's wonderful that you wanted to hear about this today. But there's lots that goes on in economic development that is behind the scenes to support. Now, directly to you, and I just need 30 seconds. On these sector grant issues, on these trainings, if you feel you've got core training needs for your commission, they need to know, because then we create a process to see if we can address those needs. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Not to Don't set your day, but that's what's coming.
Well, why not? Oh, well, that's okay.
Sue's short, the lightning will go, okay?
Yeah, that's why he hates walking next to me. Plus, he thinks he's better than I am, and God's gonna send a lightning strike toward me, and he's gonna get whacked. It's just a tall problem, what can I tell you? Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, and these are, we brought these because we advertise in Site Selection Magazine. This goes all over, not our country, Canada, Europe, Asia, because we want people to know who we are, where we are, and what we have. So we have, ads, just articles, that, talks about Hillsdale County in both of these magazines. And these are just recent publications that have come out. If I can't be on the front page, we want to be as close as we can as people start flipping through, toward the back. So we're in both of these, for Hillsdale County. One is about the quality of life that we have here, because this was a quality of life issue. And then the other one is about industrial in, the different resources that we have in Hillsdale County for industrial attraction. So that's what those are.
Very good.
So,
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question now
Sure.
that I've been thinking about it? What noise are you hearing about the tariffs and whatnot? How is that affecting businesses in Hillsdale County?
At this point, it's not,
Okay,
but we'll see.
okay.
And I mean, when they did the big threat about, the power, well, we're gonna tax the power. I called Consumers Energy and said, hey, cause that's who I've got.
Right.
And they said, that's not even gonna touch anything out here. He said, because the power that they are buying from Canada is not, he said, if they do get crazy with their costs, he goes, we'll just go somewhere else on the grid. He said, he can threaten all he wants, we don't have to buy his power.
Right. And so the businesses aren't too concerned yet about
No.
tariffs or joyous because they are here in Michigan, that they don't do a lot of maybe business with Canada, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it depends, because a lot of our businesses export, north, south, and overseas both, all of that.
Okay.
At this point in time, what I'm hearing, and we just went with Congressman Wahlberg to numerous businesses in the county, and people are they're happy with what all this cuts. They're they're so sick of being taxed to death, they're hoping at the end of the tunnel, there's some relief. But they would like to move forward. They just want to, if you're gonna do it, get beyond it, and let's move forward, move forward.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm not hearing a lot of that.
Okay.
But it's gonna start rumbling, if it doesn't turn around in a period of time.
And then in the Lean Rocket Lab, everyone who completes the program gets $4,000, is that what I understood? Because I may speak on that at my township meetings, if
Oh, please.
there are interpreters, small business people who want some training.
Sure.
Okay, all right.
Yep, and it's 12 weeks, and it's free.
12 weeks.
And it's right in Hudson at CSI,
12 weeks.
at Center for.
You say 12 weeks, but Monday through Friday?
No, it's just one day a week,
Okay.
from 8 to 10. So we try to make it business friendly, because when you have a small business, you need to be open, you can bring up that cash register.
I will probably speak on that at the township meetings.
Oh, thank you.
To try to
Thank
get
you.
more
Sure.
people aware of it.
And have them call us or hop on the website, either one.
Yeah, all right.
Happy to do it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. It was a great meeting you guys.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Put on the raincoat.
Get out your umbrellas.
Everybody else's, they have everything.
Okay, we move on now to public comment. Anybody want to speak from the public?
Sure, I will.
Go ahead.
Howie Kessler, Moscow Township, Housenick Road.
Yes.
Here a couple weeks ago to
Yes.
talk about Housenick Road, right?
Yes.
So as I mentioned, it had been graded a couple days before I was here last time. Went from pretty much a minefield to washboards, okay? With nothing addressed since then. So I'm back again asking, did anybody drive down it? That was a request. Okay?
I
good.
drove down it.
And you saw what it was like.
I drove down it,
Thank you, by the way.
I drove down it right after the thaw, so. When Mary first contacted me, I
Okay.
drove down,
So not since the
Yes.
last meeting?
yes.
Okay, so it's going from washboard
Yeah.
back to minefield, because nothing's been done. And, so, I wanna address that first, all right, just get it out there. And then I was told at the last meeting, I had to think about this for a while, ponder it, but, that, there's 2-foot berms, I assume you meant width, not height. And my request was simply that, put the wheel 6 inches over the next few times you go through, 4 times down the road, you've taken care of 2 feet and brought it back into the road. It's in the ditch. You can shake your head no all you want, but it's common sense. I'm saying that when you push gravel to the road, to the ditch, decade after decade, and then I find it, the only word I can think of is preposterous, that the townships would have to help pay for the decades of roads that were graded wrong, and now we have to pay the same people to make that right? That just doesn't make any sense to me. So,
When you said it's graded wrong,
graded wrong.
they aren't graded wrong, so we can grade it,
No, they're graded wrong. When you push gravel to the ditch
right?
for decades, and you don't ever bring it back.
Right.
And then I hear at township meetings that Stoneco is gonna donate so many tons of gravel. The township has to pay for so many tons, so we can push it in the ditch again. It's already there.
Right.
This is absolutely, all I ask is that we rethink, again, reevaluate how the roads are graded. My gosh, you can go on and get a YouTube video and see it. I mean, it's not even hard. You gotta bring it to the middle. Does it look ugly? Sure, because you're bringing all that stuff back. That'll go away. But get the middle higher than the edge.
Right.
Gravity doesn't go up. And it's been this way. I've talked about this forever. And I'm not the only one. And this is one road. Because I go down it every day. And I've watched what happens.
Yeah.
And I watch when the rain comes. Guaranteed you that you'll see the 5 spots within less than a mile that will have to go around because the puddles are there. The same exact thing that when it dries up, or maybe the rest of the road's dried and it gets graded, then the truck goes around it. Not over here pulling it back in to fill that hole, around it, deeper and deeper and deeper. Now the rain comes, any washboard, any pothole, splash, it's bigger, it's bigger, it's bigger. Nobody's addressing this. And I'm sure House Neck Road's not the only road, that's the one I deal with, okay? So, I'm just asking that it gets reevaluated and think about the process that's going on. It's just ridiculous. It's terrible that we're paying for something that isn't working, and we've been paying for a long time. Okay, so that's all I've got. Thank you for listening.
No.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other public comment? All right, we'll move along then to our manager's comments.
Alright, got a few things here. First off, I handed out. Where's my wording for this? Oh, okay. So I handed out this map,
Yes.
tell you that we got. So basically, this goes along with an email that I received from the city of Reading for their water main replacement improvement project. So basically they're saying, the city of Reading is about to begin the street reconstruction project that will close down Michigan Street beginning April 2nd and ending approximately June 4th. The closure will require a detour for these people that would otherwise use the Reading Road to come down out of Reading. We've attached the detour plan, and they'd like to put temporary traffic control signage up while this project's going. So really it's just a notice to us saying the city of Reading's gonna be doing this work and certain roads are gonna be closed, and just a heads up. Okay, so that's, if we need to get more info or anything like that, we can contact the city and work with them on that.
What was the time frame again you said on that project?
From April 2nd to June 4th.
Okay.
Let's see. Just another point of information, we did get I think what Stone Co. is trying to move forward with the Bivens Road petition to have it abandoned and closed. So they sent us a notice, and it's got the signatures of some of the residents and stuff, and some of the property descriptions. But I sent this off to McChrysop to have them look at it too. So they aren't quite filling all the criteria, and so we'll work with McChrysop and Stone Co. to make sure everything's in order before I bring it to the board to make any kind of call. But just to keep you kind of in the loop now, they're still in the process of wanting us to abandon the road, and so I guess we'll move forward with any of their petitions and stuff that they bring up, and so just so you know, that's out there.
Do you know time frame on when this will occur?
I'm sure they want to do as quick as possible, but to do all this the way the petitions and the, going through circuit court and all that, could take considerable amount of time. I mean, a year and that.
At the least several months.
So yes,
You gotta get court
but-
first.
so I guess my point is they are still interested, and they're still, and we're gonna, I guess, work with them to get everything done properly, and then we'll go from there to see if that's what you actually wanna do.
So they can do all the paperwork properly and we can say no?
Yeah, actually you can. It's still our road, we can say whether we want it abandoned or not, but this part has to be done or you can't do it.
You can't do it, right?
No.
Right, and the township doesn't have any real say in it.
Not really, I mean, I'd like to make sure that, and I talked with Bill yesterday. They're all for it. And apparently even the couple residents that came and talked,
Yep.
they've signed the petition too. So
Okay.
I guess it's really our call whether we wanna abandon that once everything's done right.
Okay.
But again, I just wanna make sure I don't want you to be like a surprise, say, here you go, here's abandonment. You're coming along as we move forward with this, so. Just some basic stuff. I think we finished up the tree work on Somerset Road where the bridge is out. So when we're ready to do the bridge and then that stuff there, all the trees are taken care of. I believe Nichols Road, all we have to do is pick up the stumps and do the ditch and deberm. That's one of the outlying ditch and deberms that we have left over.
Is that in Jefferson Township?
Nichols?
Yeah.
Adams?
Yeah, I want to say Adams.
I would have to look on the board.
Nichols Road.
It's from a project from last year.
Yeah, it's one of the.
Oh, yeah,
What's
there
that?
was one,
I'm not sure.
there was one on Bird Lake Road
That's a
with
different.
Adams Township.
I could look, but basically, the tree work is done there, we just need the stumps and deberm that. Riker Road, we're done with the trees, so now we can go in and do a deberm and re-gravel there. That's only like a.
Road's in Jefferson.
Okay, this is Jefferson, okay. So we're about ready to start that deburn process, so, once we get that going, once we get these projects taken care of, then we can take care of some other ones that are just causing us issues, and it could be as simple as the house nick, if we can get some spots done on certain roads, that'd be great. Let's see, Victory Road, we've got a lot of complaints on. And so we've had a couple of patch crews up there trying to patch our portion of Victory, and everybody gets that confused because Victory splits between us and Jackson. And so we've gone in and done a lot of patching there. I've called Jackson a couple of times to say, hey, we're getting a lot of issues, can you get somebody out there too? I think they have, but they haven't talked with me on that.
Vickery must be a paved road?
Yes, Vickery is a paved road from Patch to 127, and we control Patch to Waldron. They do Waldron to 127. But we seem to get a lot of the calls because it technically is in Hillsdale County and everybody, the residents assume
All of
Yeah.
it belongs to us.
it's not a border road and it's all us, but, we try to tell them that. The Rome Road has blown out on us. I don't know if any of you drove it, there's about an 850-foot stretch that is just chunks asphalt, and half of them are gone. You know, frost coming out of the ground this year blew that part right out. I got a few pictures of it if you want to see it, but it's not good. So we've contacted a couple of companies to see if they can just bring a mill in, pulverize it, we'll shape it with our graders and lay some more millings down and keep it like that until the asphalt plants open up. Then we'll have to see about, putting a new paved spot in there to fix that. A lot of the road needs fixed, but that part is just crumpled, gone. So we're working on that. Let's see. We had a cross tube on South Hillsdale Road fail on us last week. So we went down to figure out, we'll dig it up and fix. It's just south of, when it goes to Lake Dan. I don't know. Oh, why can't I think of that one? Starts with a C.
What road did the cross tube fail on?
Sellers.
South Hillsdale Road.
South Hillsdale, just south of Sellers.
Sellers, okay.
So we went in and I drove by, I just happened to be going down there to deal with, Blaine on the area there for Sellers and, Diane. I missed the missed Sellers, and so I said, I just turned around the next driveway. Well, I went by this cross tube, and as I went by, I saw a hole in the side over the shoulder. So I turned around, came back, and just kind of looked at it on my way by. I'm like, ooh, I'll come back and look at this one. I'm done talking with Blaine, So I talked to Blaine maybe for about an hour, came back. Now that hole that was like that is now like this. And so I stopped, it went about 4 foot back up underneath the asphalt.
Ooh.
So I parked my truck there and called the guys, and they brought a saw down and equipment, and we figured we saw cut out, and there had to be a hole in the tube or something. Well, by the time we got done, it wasn't that, and the next day they came down and saw cut out because the hole kept going all the way to the other side. And so they cut out the other side. Come to find out, the whole bottom of the tube's gone. As anything that's underwater is just not there no more. It's rusted out and gone. So we've got a tube to replace it. It's just a cross tube. There's no flowing water. It's the ditch coming down, and any ditch water goes into that little pond that's right there.
So how big is the tube?
36 inch. So it's a decent sized tube.
So is this one we can do without having to get Eagle approval?
Yes, because it's not any kind of flowing water. This is strictly a
Just so the
cross.
water will from one side of the road to the other.
Yeah. And if it's not raining, there's no water.
Yeah.
So
It's a wonder we didn't have a bad accident there.
it very well could, because when I was sitting there, Kevin drove his truck like across to get to the other side, and I watched the asphalt go like that, when he drove across it.
Yeah,
It would have been that day, it would have fell in.
if
If we
Heavy
hadn't
would've
seen
went across, they'd have been there.
So anyway, right now, it's just millings. We packed everything back in with millings. And probably next week, we're setting the excavator down there with some road closed signs, and next week we'll dig it up, put a new one in, but we're gonna have to close off South Hillsdale Road for that day.
Yeah.
And let people detour around it. We should do it easily in a half day, actually, but, we got the tube sitting here. But just so you know, if you go down there and get calls, it's about I'd say about a 20-foot wide piece that we dug out, and is all millings now, but.
How far south of Sellers is it?
Not very, it's like Sellers is on top of the hill, it's right at the bottom of that hill.
Okay.
And then it kind of goes back up to whatever that next road is, and so all that water comes to that to get to that pond. And so, just so you know, we're replacing that.
You don't have any choice.
It's literally gone, we're just sucking the dirt.
Yeah.
Out from around the tube. And that last rain that we had, that caused all that, so.
I have a feeling it was going before.
Yeah. The frost laws came off this morning at 7.
Did Lenawee take theirs off today too, or?
Yes, actually, there's actually a website that you can get to for CRA
Yeah, sure.
that shows